Each year in the United States, thousands of major crimes go unsolved. When the case has gone cold and police have nowhere to turn, they seek assistance from the public. This is a program dedicated to solving these cases. This is Crime Stoppers Case Files.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for another Northeast Ohio edition of Crime Stoppers Case Files. I'm Bob France. There are over 1,400 Crime Stoppers organizations operating around the world. These organizations empower citizens like you to become directly and anonymously involved in fighting crime in our communities. Each week on this television program, we'll share facts with you from unsolved cases, and you'll have the opportunity to submit information that may help investigators, possibly earning yourself a cash reward without ever having to give your name. Let's get to work. On December 5th, 2010, police responded to a call of shots fired near East 131st and Brackland Avenue. When they arrived, the streets were clear. But early the next morning, a resident made a terrible discovery. 38-year-old father of 6, Lonzell Booker, was lying in her backyard, dead from gunshot wounds. Here's the story.
Lonzell was born October 24th, 1972. Growing up, Lonzell was a person of very few words, but of real deep thoughts.
Lonzell was the first grandchild. He was my first nephew, and he was very special to me as he was growing up. When you saw me, you saw him.
Very smart, had a lot of talents. He drew, he played piano, he professionally danced at one time, cut hair, he wrote.
He would tell me about his dreams. I watched him grow as a little boy from being an artist, as his mom said, to cutting hair, different stages, to the last stage of wanting to write a book, which he did write a book.
He always came to me for advice. He always thought I could solve everything.
This was just a quiet young man, very special, very friendly, outgoing.
He started having a family 17 years ago. He has 6 children in all, 3 girls and 3 boys. One recently born a month ago that would never get to know him, and he loved children. He loved children.
911, do you need police, fire, or an ambulance? Sorry, where do you need the police? I just was calling because I hear shooting outside of my apartment building on Brackland. How many shots do you hear? 4. Do you see anything? No, I was scared to get up because I just me and my babies in here. Is it inside or outside? Outside. Outside the building. All right, ma'am, call us back if you see anything. We'll get an officer over there, okay? Okay, thank you.
On the night of December 5th, 2010, at about 8:30 p.m., 38-year-old Lonzell Booker was in the 13,000 block of Brackland Avenue, and he was there to meet an associate. This associate had previously called him, and Lonzell agreed to meet him there. Lonzell was already in the neighborhood, previously visiting Frank's Beverage at East 128th Street and Woodside Avenue, and he picked up a few items from there. Lonzell met with this associate, and at about 8:31, 2 suspects approached from the east, walking west toward them. According to the associate, as the suspects came within arm's range, one of them pulled a gun out. The associate immediately ran west, while Lonzell Booker ran in the opposite direction. Shots rang out as Lonzell Booker was trying to run away from these 2 black male suspects. Interviewed citizens stated between 2 and 4 shots. Lonzell was hit in the back, the bullet traveling through his body from back to front, piercing his chest and his heart. Lonzell still tried to run away, but eventually succumbed from his wounds, falling in the backyard of 13,008 Brackland Avenue. Immediately after the shots rang out, citizens called 911. Officers immediately responded to the area and toured for any type of disturbance or suspects, but no one was in the area and no other disturbances or shots were heard. Officers left the area. At about 9:31 p.m., a citizen called back and said that Lonzell Booker's car was still on Brackland Avenue, parked in the area of 12918 Brackland. Officers returned to the area and saw a vehicle parked there, but unattended. Keys in the ignition, and the vehicle was running. They looked over the car and ascertained the owner's information, which they learned from dispatch. The owner of the car went by a different name, so for safekeeping reasons, The officers towed the car to the CPD impound unit. At 6:45 a.m. the following morning, December 6th, a citizen who was getting her kids ready for school looked out of a rear window and saw Lonzell Booker's body in the rear yard of 13008 Bracklin Avenue.
That night started off around 10:30. I received a call at my sister's house that my son's car was parked somewhere and there was a shooting in the vicinity. And they gave me the name of the street, Bracklin, and asked me, told me to go over there to see if I could find anything out. Well, early morning, his girlfriend got a call from a female friend. In fact, she lived in that apartment building. Well, the girl said, I'll look when it gets light enough outside, I'll go outside in the backyard and look, because I'm sure they were scared. She went out there to look while the girlfriend was talking to this young lady. I was on the phone talking to the police dispatcher, asking her, could you please send someone back out because something's wrong, please send someone back out. In the meantime, the young lady's on the line telling the girlfriend, I see something. Then she says, it's a body. And she tells her it's him, and I'm on this line with dispatcher, so I'm hysterical. I'm just hysterical. I met them at the scene. I could see him from the driveway, laying in the backyard.
Crime Stoppers is an international organization dedicated to bringing resolution to unsolved crimes. Members of the public work with police to make the world a safer place. Since 1975, thousands of Crime Stoppers organizations worldwide have helped make over 1 million arrests. Crime Stoppers acts as your advocate, keeping you anonymous and ensuring that your information gets to the right law enforcement agency. To leave a tip, log on to www.crimestoppersone.com.
On December 5th, 2010, at about 8:31 p.m., Lonzell Booker, who was meeting an associate in the 13,000 block of Bracklin Avenue, was approached by two black males, and after they were approached, he was shot and killed. During the initial investigation, we learned that Lonzell Booker was shot from his back through his chest, and the bullet exited his chest. His wounds were unsurvivable. In interviewing the associate that was in the company of Lonzell Booker when the shots were fired, we learned that the suspects were African-American males, both wearing dark clothing. Both suspects were light to medium complexion, and the one who had the gun was either skinny or slim in stature. The other suspect had a buff or stocky build to him. The associate also stated that when the gunman pulled his gun, he ran in a westerly direction and Lonzell ran in another direction, probably east or southeast. Also, during the initial investigation, we learned that there were two vehicles in the area at the time of the incident. One vehicle was described as either a gray or white Ford Taurus or a Lexus ES300. The second vehicle was mentioned to be a small red car, parked on East 131st Street, just south of Bracklin Avenue.
For me, it's devastating. I mean, my heart's broken. I've cried every day since the day that's happened.
This has affected family very, very deeply. From my sister, I watch her pain. He has 6 children, which he have a newborn. He had 5 young preteen children, and it's really hard on them, and I find myself having to be, the rock between them, and so my sister won't be burdened with that, trying to get this unsolved. We need justice. This should have never happened. And it brings some healing so we'll know something has done.
That's the only thing I want in the world right now is for the person or persons involved in this crime to be brought to justice.
He didn't deserve to die the way he died. And somebody needs to pay. And somebody knows what happened. We need closure. We need healing. The family needs healing.
I just plead with you, please call the police and, you could be anonymous. Let them know something.
We need help in bringing closure to the family and solving this case. If there are any witnesses, please contact me, Detective Arthur Eccles, or my partner, Detective Joselito Sandoval, at the CPD Homicide Unit at 216-623-5464. Or you can call Crime Stoppers, remain anonymous, and be eligible for a cash reward.
This is a neighborhood that has experienced a great deal of violence. And the only thing we as citizens can do is identify those who carry out that violence and remove them from the streets and protect our communities. If you know anything about the murder of Lonzell Booker, we beg you to please call Crime Stoppers. You can remain anonymous and you will be eligible for a cash reward up to $2,000. We'll be right back with more when we return to Crime Stoppers Case Files. On September 18, 2005, the body of 30-year-old Vinnie Nasca was found in a vacant field on East 92nd Street. Police have been working for over 5 years to piece together the final days and hours of Vinnie's life and trying to find out who killed him. Here's the story.
Vince was so infectious. He was such a happy person. He was nice looking. He was just full of life.
You always knew he was around because you could hear his laugh a mile away.
He loved his family. He always was kind, considerate.
He loved sports. We always would go to baseball card shows and fishing, camping.
Vince was always like the class clown. He was just a comedian. Everybody loved him.
He was such a people person, you know. Everyone loved him. A good older brother.
He loved life. It was a joy to be around Vince.
A great memory I have. Probably the last time we went fishing, I was helping him and his buddy. They were catching like 2 and 3 perch at a time, and so I had cooler duty opening up the fish, and just a beautiful day on Lake Erie.
On September 18th of 2005 at about 11 a.m., myself and other detectives from the Homicide Unit were called out to a location on East 92nd Street, just north of Holton Avenue, on the east side of Cleveland. At that location, neighbors had observed a deceased white male laying in the field area. Upon our arrival, we did in fact find a white male that was wearing a blue Hawaiian print shirt that had beer bottles lining the lower hem of the shirt and also around the sleeve area. This male appeared to have been killed by 2 gunshot wounds to the neck area. During our initial investigation at this location, we were unable to find any property that would identify this male, and he did remain unknown for several weeks. Sometime later, a missing person report was filed for a Vincent Nasca by his fiancée, and checking with the coroner's office, which is routine in missing person cases, it was determined that our unidentified victim from East 92nd Street was actually Vincent Nasca. Through our investigation, we had found that Vincent's fiancée had last seen or heard from him September 12th of 2005. She actually filed a report with the police department of him being missing later that month, and had known that he had taken with him her 1990 white Cutlass Sierra 4-door, which she also did report as missing. He had been missing for approximately 4 days, but through records through several banks, we were able to determine that he was actively using his ATM card to make regular withdrawals in increments of $20. We know that his last transaction was September 16, 2005 at approximately 5 a.m. when he entered the Top supermarket located on Rockside Road in Bedford, Ohio, where he made a withdrawal of approximately $120. We know it's Vincent due to the fact that we have surveillance pictures that show him, and at the time he was wearing the same shirt that he was discovered deceased in. We know that at some point on September 16th or 17th, Vincent Nasca had made that withdrawal of money. He went to some unknown location, and during this period, somebody became highly upset with him and shot him twice in the neck. From there, was possibly driven to the location that we found him, inside his fiance's car, where the suspect or suspects dumped his body. After he was dumped, his fiance's vehicle was taken from that location and was either used or hidden for some period of time until later in October, when persons burned this vehicle in a park area in the southeast area of Cleveland.
I got a call from his fiance saying that he had gone out to the store to get some cigarettes, and he never came home that evening, which was not like Vince to do this. So she called me. I said, no, I didn't hear anything. I had nowhere to turn, except we just started to call the police department to report him missing. It was a long 29 days he was missing. I got a phone call saying that they had Vince in the morgue, and I had to come down and identify him.
On September 18, 2005, at about 11 a.m., Vincent Nasca was found murdered from 2 gunshot wounds to the neck in the area of East 92nd Street, just north of Holton Avenue on the east side of Cleveland. The vehicle that he was last known to be using was not discovered until around October 28th in the southeast area of Cleveland. He had been missing for approximately 4 days, but through records through several banks, we were able to determine that he was actively using his ATM card to make regular withdrawals. We know that his last transaction was September 16, 2005 at approximately 5 a.m. when he entered the Top supermarket located on Rockside Road in Bedford, Ohio, where he made a withdrawal of approximately $120. What's intriguing with the last known ATM withdrawal in Bedford is that the distance from the Collinwood neighborhood, and through his fiancée, he was not known to have any friends, family, or associates in that area.
There's not one day that goes by that I don't cry. My family, everybody, my sister, my brother-in-law, he has tons of cousins. They all just miss him. It's taken a toll. It's taken a toll on all of us.
If the case was solved, it definitely make my mom and the whole family to feel better, just to bring justice, just to bring an end.
I want justice for my son. And I don't know what I can do to get justice for him, other than have his murderer or murderers found and brought to justice. And I just hope that somebody out there can help us. I wouldn't want any other parent to ever feel this way, ever.
Anybody that may have information, no matter how small it may be, please contact myself, Detective Sandoval, at the Homicide Unit, 216-623-5464. Or you may call Crime Stoppers and remain anonymous and receive cash reward.
Somebody out there thinks they got away with murder. It's up to us to make sure they don't. If you know anything about Vinnie Nasca's final days before his death, especially what he was doing in Bedford, police would appreciate that information. Any clue, no matter how small, might be the one that breaks this case open. If you know anything that can help detectives, call Crime Stoppers today. Thank you for joining us for another edition of Crime Stoppers Case Files, where you are empowered to help clean up the streets. Remember, our towns and our neighborhoods are a direct reflection of what we allow them to be. So let's all do our part to make them safe. We'll see you next time for another edition of Crime Stoppers Case Files.